Brian, hi, how are you?
I'm wonderful. It's a beautiful day, and I'm just enjoying every moment of it.
Well, for the people that don't know you, Mr. Brian Sheen is actually the person that introduced me to A Course in Miracles and a lot of other modalities, which I didn't even know what the word modalities meant. All I know, and I don't know if you remember this was years ago when I signed up for what was then FICAM. I thought it was like a weekend thing. I thought it was a week course, and I wanted to get away from my happenings in life. It ended up being a 3-year program that completely changed my life. So I've always thanked you, but I'll thank you again.
Oh, it's my pleasure watching you go through the growth and development and education that you went through, and seeing how you're integrating this and doing such a good job to share that knowledge with others to help them. Nothing could make me feel any better and more joyful. And it's one of the reasons why I did it, is to connect with people who are really intent, serious about making change and not talking about it, but really working towards it. And yeah, it was a 3-year, 1,450-hour program, and you experimented with new types of techniques and learned them and integrated them and learned the knowledge. And it was such an exciting adventure. And to see and hear, as we did a little bit before we began our interview, just getting a little update of your growth and your daughters, and seeing wonderful things that are happening, and hearing about the amazing things of your daughter getting so disciplined and so focused and so really literally getting her act together. It just shows the power of love and containment, and utilizing the different strategies, because you had some real life challenges where you were brought to, okay, use everything you learned. Here's your shot. This is personal. This is more important than anything you're ever going to do in your life.
Yeah.
Do you get it? Are you going to use it? Are you going to sit there and have this opportunity to know that even in these extremes, the knowledge works, but you have to continually use it with faith, as you've done so beautifully.
Thank you. And I'm laughing because I was telling you before, I would always reach out to you when life happened, right? Up, down. I had a major up, I had a major down. And you would always tell me one phrase, and it was always, Angie, seek within the kingdom, or whatever the phrase is, seek the kingdom within.
Well, and seek, okay. Okay. Oh, wow. See, now, no. Seek thee first the kingdom of heaven.
That's it.
And all shall be given unto you.
Okay.
And I'm so glad that stays in your mind. And I still say it probably as much as ever. And it's something that has such powerful ability to shift a person if they're willing to really get it and then do it. That's a process in itself.
It is. And it's funny because you would always tell me that. See, I paraphrase it completely because theoretically, I knew what you were saying, but I never got it until those moments that I finally really reached it. And I said, oh my God, this is what he was talking about. Got it. Perfect. It feels. Okay, so let's backtrack for a minute. So obviously we know each other, but I want everybody to get to know you. So for the people who don't know Dr. Brian Sheen, can you tell us a little bit about how you personally, how and when you came across A Course in Miracles? How did that happen?
I came across the course at a stage in my life when I had really pretty well completed a complete crash and burn, going from running a multi-million-dollar business and having, houses and Mercedes and traveling and big career and business all over the state of Florida. And then it was like the ego bubble burst, I came tumbling down to earth and basically lost all of that, and lost my house and my career and my wife, and ended up living in a little shack. Really, it was the half of a garage. Okay, and just that's all I could afford. Everything was basically all the things I valued, all the idols that we would call them now, all the magic that I sought, was just gone. And that crash and burn one day just opened my eyes, and I was sitting on the beach in Boca Raton, near where I was living, in this little efficiency, or I should say half efficiency. And it really came to me, this vision of finding another way, of that all that just happened had a greater meaning to it, had no clue what that was, but it says, now it's time for you to get back on your path. And I made a decision. I'm going to re-enter the spiritual flow of things, which I had done a lot when I was a teenager in New York. And I was going to basically open up the local, what was it? Whatever the name of the local, Natural Awakenings, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. It's like the magazine of all the spiritual and alternative things in the area. And I said, okay, I'm going to open it up, and everything that's in it, I'm going to go to it. And I wanted to know everything about whether it was iridology, or whether it was A Course in Miracles, or whether it was constellations or I just said, I want to dive in and absorb what is going on in my community in these different areas. And then I would start reading about things, and then I would find myself getting on a plane and going to the Association for Research of Enlightenment in Virginia Beach, Edgar Casey's place, or I would end up at a yoga retreat here up in the mountains in North Carolina. And I just started opening, and one of them happened to have been A Course in Miracles. It was being advertised in the magazine. And it was that simple. And I went to, on Atlantic Avenue, Delray Beach, in Shining Through. And there was a teacher and a class there. And so I went in, and wow, I hated it. I couldn't stand any moment of it. I did not relate to it well at all, but I had made a promise, and this was a promise I made myself, is that I would go to all these different places and things to experience it at least 3 times. And because I knew my first reaction, I wasn't going to accept my first reactions. So I went 3 times, and I found myself in the 3rd time really caught up in an intellectual discussion of how right I was, and how I knew this and what should be. And I was just so full of myself, it was just unbelievable. And I realized I had such strong resistance to what I was hearing and being told that an alarm went off in me, and it says, you need to use this resistance. It's trying to tell you something. Now, later I found out that's actually some of the words in the Course itself, when it talks about when you start doing the lessons, that when you start doing the lessons, you might run into resistance. It doesn't matter, do the lessons anyway, okay? And we will use your resistance in order to help enlighten you and heal you. And I kind of got that sense. And a friend of mine introduced me to Marianne Williams' book, Return to Love. I wasn't ready for the Course book. No way. It had too much of language that I had been warned about to stay away from, because I was Jewish, and this was talking about Christ and Jesus, and I knew I had to be very careful about that. I was warned, by my bar mitzvah when I was 13 and other things, to be warned about Jesus followers. And again, my resistance was so strong to these words. I felt I owed it to myself to continue, so I read Return to Love, and that just resonated with me so much. And then I started listening to Marianne Williamson and a bunch of her recorded lectures, and I fell in love with her. She was just, her way of speaking and her metaphors and analogies and her sense of humor, I don't know, it was just very me. And I then, little by little, got more involved, but it was just, part of, I think, the journey of trying to say, what do I find works for me? Do I see working for others? And I believe is based on something at least I can theoretically or scientifically feel it's sound. And I found A Course in Miracles very sound scientifically, because as I was to find out much later, it really had its roots in Freudian analysis. And that, as I began to understand that much later and then read every book by Freud, I began to see those elements and see what a therapy the Course was. And at which point it took on all new dimensions for me. That's the short answer. You want the long?
Well, there's a few things that I love what you said, and the book Return to Love is what got me finally understanding it, because it was sitting on my bookshelf for all the 3 years until I finally went through it. But I love that you said that you gave yourself a promise to do whatever you were trying 3 times. Because I think that's help for any of us. I mean, sometimes you're like, okay, I gave it a shot, I didn't like it, but I gave it a shot, I'm done. But the fact that you went and you said, no, I'm going to give it again, and I'm going to give it again, and X amount of years later, here you are, and you look back at that moment and say, wow, I stuck through it, I fought my own ego, I considered it, I did it, and here we go. And then the other thing was, and you just mentioned it, and that's something I want to talk to you about. When I was with you, you taught us how to use this in a very therapeutical way. And a lot of the people that either do whatever spirituality route they go, sometimes they don't know how to apply it. So it's not only for people, I mean, I have a lot of life coaches and a lot of moms and a lot of people who listen to this and who read the magazine, but just in general, how do you suggest somebody to use A Course in Miracles in that way?
The Course is basically doing 2 things, and it alternates between the 2 things. It's a mind training course where we're being taught what are the higher mind thoughts, intentions, and how to embrace them, how to affirm them, how to be able to sit there and seed them into our consciousness so that they are an everyday expression, their habit that we don't even think about. But the other part is this deep therapeutic part of we have to go deep inside to bring the light to the darkness. If we don't embrace the darkness and lift it to the light, then all of a sudden the roots of whatever that darkness, which is ignorance, which is fear, which is the idea of separation, which is being caught up in the material world and thinking that's all there is, and all of that has to be examined, because the nature of the spiritual psychotherapy that the Course is what the Course is really about, which is the atonement. It's not a course on forgiveness. Forgiveness is a tool to bring us to the atonement, but it's the correction, the atonement at the source of where the error was made that baffles most people, and when I talk about this, can upset a lot of people because they think it's about faith. Yes, it is. It's about commitment. Yes, it is. It's about compassion and patience and trust and all of these things, and of course forgiveness. Yes, it is. But it's a course for the atonement, which is the correction to bring us back to oneness. And I think lesson 333, if I was to choose one thing that really focuses on what it is that I talk about, and this is a revelation that I had years ago of, of the depth of the psychotherapy work that needs to be done to get a person to the roots, to the seed of what created the moment of belief and separation. What was that break? To find that break and heal it where it was. And that means going deep inside the unconscious mind body, where we hide all our guilt, where we repress all of our fear and our ignorance, to go deep inside of that and do what this lesson 333 clearly says. And I'll go through it because it's so beautiful, and it's like 3 sentences, but it sums it up. It says conflict must be resolved. Okay, we can get that easy enough. It cannot be evaded, set aside, denied, disguised, seen somewhere else, called by another name, or hidden by deceit of any kind, if it would be escaped. It must be seen exactly as it is, where it is thought to be, in the reality which has been given it, and with the purpose that the mind accorded it. In other words, you've got to go back to the past to find out how that thought, how that decision, how that wrong-minded idea or concept got in the mind in the first place after a separation moment happened, where all of a sudden this false idea was given the reality that it was accorded, and it had a purpose that the mind gave it. And the purpose is always the same. It's avoidance of pain, the pain of imagining you're no longer one, the pain of being separated, the pain of the fallen angel, the pain of all of a sudden feeling the emptiness as if the source of existence is no longer one with you. And you have to go back and literally seen exactly as it is and where it's thought to be, in the reality which has been given it. And so I have taken this to mean therapeutically, and this is a core of how I built FICAM, the Florida Institute of Complementary and Alternative Medicine, because as I investigated the course deeper and deeper, it talked about and showed you clearly what these spiritual psychotherapy ways were. And you had to learn how to go through the body. You had to reach the level of the body, because that's where people were at. And as it says, the body, it's through the body is the return to sanity. And why? It's because everybody believes they're a body. You have to go to where a person believes they are. You have to meet them at their level, not give them this wild idea, oh, you're a spiritual being and you last forever. Yeah, but I'm sitting there scared shit about that I'm going to die. I'm a body. I don't want to be hurt. And you know what? I live only once, and God damn it. And that's where people are. Okay, not for the 10 minutes they're in church and they're saying amen, amen, I'm one with God. No, okay. The moment they walk outside and they hear a fire engine, or they hear a police, or they hear what sounds like gunshots, which were nothing more than the backfiring of a car, you know, all of a sudden we have to reach that person where it is. And so in my mind, all the therapy works that I did, the bioenergetics, the formative psychology, the different quantum and holotropic breath works that we did to open up, to go inside, to remove the layers upon layers that people put of avoidance, the layers of denial, and then the denial of the denial, which is, and
That's
give them a moment to take them inside. Yeah, and we all do that.
yeah.
But if you don't have anybody call you on it, a new term that I made up recently, I call it justifiable anxiety.
Which is?
And I see this throughout the spiritual community, because I remember I'm right now, as I'm talking to you, I'm in Lima, Peru, at the Hana Alternative Wellness Center, and I've been traveling around the world, sharing this knowledge, being able to help people understand there is another way, to find that peace, to do the cleansing and purifying of the mind, not just talk about it, but to go inside to exactly where it is, when it happened, where it happened, how the mind constructed then this idea to replace the loss, the pain of separation, and to use the tools to lift it, to remove the energy, to remove the fear, to bring forgiveness, and then to do the purification, the atonement, to bring a person back to oneness. So that event is then seen as the lesson God would have you learn. Is seen that no matter how painful you accorded it back then, it was a lesson to help lift you and teach you that you helped to give yourself to learn what you've forgotten.
Yep.
And this is your game to remind yourself. But when you do that, freedom happens, the issue is gone, the physical system begins to come back into balance and heal itself. And I've seen a number of spontaneous remissions because of it over the years. And you just start to see the emotional level start to flourish, the mental level start to flourish, and you open up to follow your heart. You know, that's the kingdom of heaven. The kingdom of heaven is you're following the love in your heart, something that giving it, extending it, is a joy, is following your bliss, as Joseph Campbell liked to say.
Yep. And in so many ways, I'm proof of everything you're talking about. I remember walking into that class, and one of your questions was, or one of your things was, we're going to work on issues you have. And I remember thinking, I don't have any issues. God, was I wrong. But that's why I said when you talked about denial of denial, that's where I was. I had no idea, but that's the case for another video.
Let me just give an amen to that. The more I think, I need to just really add a little bit more amen.
No, and everything I learned with you at FICAM, and everything that happened to me, at me, through me, I mean, just everything in general, it's because of the tools. And that's why I wanted to ask you, because I know this is a Course in Miracles issue that we're doing with Happier, Healthier Women. I wanted you to touch on that, but it's absolutely true. Everything that we do through all the modalities, everything that you taught and everything that there is, it's just to remind us what we've forgotten. And that is that we should be living in bliss and happiness and joy. And so many people forget that. And I think now I know my main underlying mission and heartfelt desire ever since I began Happier, Healthier Women is exactly to expand, to teach, and to show people that there's another way, whether it's through A Course in Miracles or not. There's so many different ways that we can all remember. And the point of doing all of this is to help one another, because there's nothing better than feeling the way you feel when you're happy, when you're full of life and you you're living your dream. I mean, it's a feeling. It's not really anything material, but it gets to a point that you finally realize that, which is where I am now.
That's beautiful, you know, and that's a process,
Mm.
and it's a process that takes determination. And I like how the course calls consistency is honesty. And it's not that every now and then I do a lesson, I go to a course, I do something to help myself. It's if I really honestly want peace in my life, if I really honestly am ready to do whatever it takes to have that peace, knowing that that peace brings me great health physically, mentally, emotionally, in relationships, that's the greatest gift that I can give to myself. And if I'm not willing to give that to myself,
Yeah.
I don't have it to give to anyone else. So what am I really doing except acting from the illusion of giving, you see? And there's giving and there's the illusion of giving. And since you can't give what you don't have, then you're just giving an imaginary picture of it. And I can give you, gee, you know, I appreciate you very much. And I can give you a beautiful picture of the biggest carat diamond in the world that's worth $10 million and say, Angie, thank you for all these wonderful things you said today. And for that, I'm going to give you this huge diamond picture. You know, uh, it doesn't have the same value as the diamond.
Right.
Okay. It's, you know, it's not just the thought that counts.
I can say that.
You see the manifestation of it too, right?
Yep.
Okay. So we've got to kind of look at all this, and the only way we can give it to someone is that we have it, and that means our job is to remove the interference, and that means going inside and clearing out all the layers of garbage that leave us in denial, because it comes down to simply, do you want peace? And are you, on a moment to moment basis, teaching yourself to live in it? You know, FICAM isn't the way it used to be when we were in Delray Beach and we had classes there, and you took off a week every 3 months in order to train and come in and learn and face your own issues and work with others to learn all these different tools. And it was great. It was also very time consuming of having to take off a week every quarter. And it was also very expensive at the time. It was $21,000 for 3-year tuition. And over the years, as we got started, something new came into the world called the smartphone. And all of a sudden, things started to change. And my vision changed, is that I wanted to share all this knowledge, but I wanted to do it in a way where people can do it in the delivery system that didn't mean they have to take off a week from work every quarter and had to do this and spend this kind of money. And so I've been taking for the last 8 years, putting everything online, creating courses, creating an interactive app where I work with people from around the world and I train them as part of their training. And I have now 2,400 students in 113 countries doing my Udemy courses. I have courses in stress management and courses in when life becomes overwhelming, courses in the science of quantum embodiment. And we're just launching, as we speak, a new course that was recently accepted in Palm Beach County schools for 88,000 children.
Nice.
I've spent 12 years on this project to bring them emotional wellness training and developed a program called Training Your Brain for Success Through Emotional Empowerment Regulating. Success through emotional empowerment regulating, steer, S-T-E-E-R. So you can steer your life to the destiny that you want. And it's me training them on all the different tools, the key prescriptions of how to access their inner pharmacy, to how to control their emotional wellness. All the tools that you learned at FICAM, but put in a certain sequence and a certain package, so that I've had kids as young as 7 years old and adults as old as 77 years old doing it and loving it and enjoying it. Okay?
Awesome.
Because it teaches you what to do and how to do it. And we're just getting ready to launch it. And I'm not sure when you're putting this out, when you're releasing this.
May.
Okay, so by then I can give you a link that they can go to, because what we're going to do for the first 30 days, the course is $99, but for the first 30 days, just to kind of get it out there, we're going to give a 90% discount, so it'll be $9 for this course. And it has all the videos and training and interactions, a bunch of new things that I just finished. I created a whole bunch of new things in order to really put things together, and something that I think you'll be interested in, because I didn't emphasize it in FICAM, but one of the things is using these techniques. I show people how they can double, triple, or 10 times increase their earnings by just using a simple technique that has been shown to be able to create these results.
Okay, so you and I are going to talk about that after the video stops. And then I'll share it with them.
But you see, and when I tell it to you, you'll say, wow, you've said all those things always, and I just didn't fully do it.
Yep.
I know about it. Wow. And because I know you, because you, of all my students, I'm always so appreciative of your persistency in the field, your consistency to always be working it and doing the best you can and dealing with your life challenges to be able to get into that channel of consciousness and use this stuff. And I'm so appreciative that here we are talking about it, and you're getting this knowledge out to so many people. And I think that's so beautiful. And that's seeking heaven. And
we're back to that.
And it doesn't mean it's not taking massive actions and sometimes taking risks and doing things that don't seem to provide an immediate return. But if you're doing what you love, you're not attached to the outcome, because the outcome is the journey.
Yeah. And to start wrapping things up, I mean, I think for me, the biggest joy right now, and we're not going to talk about it in a business sense, but the biggest joy in my heart of sharing this, of creating this project, of doing Happier, Healthier, when I am following this, when I feel I am so happy to meet with you guys and do the interviews and come up with the article and the magazines, everything else in my life is better, because I am following my heart and I am following my passion, and I'm doing something out of service and out of love and out of happiness, which raises absolutely everything, meaning all the other areas in my life, whether they stay the same or not, they feel so much better. And I think that's one of the things that you realize when you're actually doing the things. Going back to the thing, once you feel it, you know this is the right path and this is what I want.
Yeah.
So
and when you find that, the gift of life is realized.
Yeah.
Because it's the expression of love, the expression of following your bliss. And for me, that's what life is. And A Course in Miracles, I think, really helps to bring a person to that understanding and give them tools and techniques. Many other things can be very helpful too along the way. And but one of the most important, and you're doing this, and that's creating a community, a support, what we call satsang,
Mm-hmm.
where that knowledge is shared and extended, and people are supported in it. And so thank you for that. Thank you for inviting me. I appreciate it. And it's always a joy. I will say that all of the things that are happening, and so many things are happening as I'm traveling around the world and creating new courses online as I go. But at new my new updated website, briansheen.com,
Okay.
www.briansheen.com. All these things will be there. The new courses will be up in time for your show.
Mhm.
So that will be there. And the 30-day thing will be there. This course is spectacular because it really gives them the tools to steer their life. And you can share it with your friends, you can share it with your kids. I've had, again, from 7 to 77, love it and find changes. And so I'm so pleased to get it out there. And there's lots of other things like that. But that's where FICAM goes. I'm also talking with somebody of putting a school we're talking about in Medellin, in Envigado. So that's in discussion too, because it seems wherever I go, people want this knowledge and they want more. They want to go deeper. They don't want to just mow the lawn and make it look better for a few days or a few weeks. They really want to, I think, more and more get to the roots of it. And that's what our goals are. That's what I think the course says in this lesson. And that's what you help people do. And thank you so much. Namaste.
Thank you, my love. Thank you for everything. And definitely, I'm going to spread the word. It'll come out with the issue, but like I said, it changed my life and it opened. I'm definitely not the same woman I was when I walked in there, and I'm thankful for that. So 100%. So thank you for joining us.
Thank you, my love. Appreciate it.